All right, so one of the things we've done in Algebra 2 is completing the square, the goal of which was to take a quadratic in standard form and rewrite it as a quadratic in vertex form. Oops, sorry, that's x minus h squared plus k. And one of the common mistakes is just take a, b, and c and just translate them straight into a, h, and k, but that's not really what happens. And I'm going to explain this through use of an example. And I'm going to be using algebra tiles. So for those of you who don't know what they are, you may wish to jump on the internet and just type in algebra tiles very quickly. So the example is y equals x squared plus 4x plus 12. And what I want to know is I want to know the vertex of this parabola. And right now I'd have to find the intercepts. Once I'd found the intercepts, I'd have to use those to find the vertex. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my algebra tiles, and I have one x squared tile, which of course has dimensions x by x. I have four x tiles, and so to make a square, I'm going to put 2 on each side. And so these are dimensions x by 1, x by 1. And 1 and 1. So now I need to make this into a square. In order to make this into a square, I need to fill in this corner. Well, that corner is a 2 by 2 corner, which means it is 4 units big. So I'm going to add 4 tiles. And if you're thinking this is algebra tiles, there's 4 of those. Now, I've just unbalanced my equation because what I have here is I have y equals x squared plus 4x plus 4. And some teachers will teach you to just take the 4 you need out of the 12. I prefer not to do that, and I'll explain why in just a second. So here I've got this square, which is x squared plus 4x plus 4. Here I've got this x squared plus 4x plus 4. That's the square. But because I added 4 to make this a square, I have to subtract 4 to keep my equation in balance. Notice that my equation is still x squared plus 4x plus 12 because these two things cancel each other out. Now, the reason I did it this way is because now I have y equals the square, which is x plus 2 by x plus 2, and out here, plus 8, which means that the vertex of this parabola is at negative 2 comma 8. Remember the idea. The things that you need to remember here is that you are adding something to complete the square. Your square is made up of your x squared tiles and your x tiles, 2 on each side in this case. And because you're adding something to complete the square, you have to subtract the same something in order to keep the equation in balance. And then we write this part as a square, and we write this part as combining like terms. Okay, so let's look at another example where I have a leading coefficient. I've got 2x squared plus 8x plus 11. So the difference is that I now have 2 of these x squared tiles. I can't make a square with 2x squared tiles because it will have dimensions x by 2x. So what I have to do instead is I have to make 2 completely separate squares. I've got one square here. I've got one square here. I'm going to go ahead and highlight my 2 squares that I'll be building. I have a total of 8 x's. Well, that means that only 4 on each. So notice that this is x plus 2 by x plus 2. This is x squared plus 4x. This is also x plus 2 by x plus 2. And this is also x squared plus 4x. Notice I've got 2x squared and I've got 8x. These corners are plus 4 and plus 4. So I added 4 here, I added 4 here, which means that I have to subtract 8. Subtract 8 to keep this in balance. Plus 11, my original 11. So what do I have? Well, this is a square, this is a square. This square is x plus 2 by x plus 2. This square is x plus 2 by x plus 2. And another way to write two of these is y equals 2x plus 2 squares plus 3, which means that my vertex is at negative 2, 3, and I have a stretch factor of 2. All right, hope those examples help. Just keep in mind, what do you need to remember? If you have more than one squared, then you need to make multiple squares. You need to subtract multiple times to keep them in balance. And moving back to the original example, you're splitting these x tiles in half, half on each side, and whatever you add to make the square, you have to subtract to balance out the square. All right, hope that helped.